A little bit about me and why I qualified to talk about this. So I'm originally from a place called Glenavy in County Antrim. Spent a decade at Queen's University Belfast and actually managed to fail a PhD at Viva, which is quite unusual, would you believe. The last opportunity in town for me was First Derivatives in Newry, who basically hired me age 30 based on my A-level results. Worked out well in the end. And then I spent a good bit of my career focused on the New York finance business. Joined Wombat as second employee in 2004 and ran the company and ultimately sold it for over 200 million to the NYSE just 4 years later. So we came from a seed to pretty substantial business very, very quickly, and I think we got what was one of the best exits in the sector really through that whole decade. The first slide here, ever since last Christmas, I have been boring everyone to tears who I talked to about this journey we had on Christmas Day. So I grew up beside Lough, and there's an island 2 miles from our house, and every 40 or 50 years people walk out to it when you get a proper freeze. So myself, my brother, and the cameraman walked out on Christmas Day, and we're the only people to have done that since 1947. Easily the scariest thing I've ever done, and also something that with global warming and all those things that never thought I'd get the chance. But I think the key principle and the reason we use this image around entrepreneurship is that wanting to build a company, wanting to step off the cliff is one thing. You have to actually get out and do it. And once you do it, you can bore people for the next 50 years because you've been successful, but you don't get there by just thinking about it. The other thing is, whenever I first went to join Wombat, I still have friends who don't talk to me because of that. Who do you think you are going to New York? Who do you think you are in your 30s going to a startup? Are you nuts? Why don't you get a job in the local engineering firm like the rest of us? So you would not believe the number of people tried to talk me out of joining Wombat. You would not believe the number of people who tried to talk us out of walking out to the island on Christmas Day. But sometimes you have to just override the consensus and go for it. And that's really the first pillar for me if you want to be an entrepreneur. The other thing on there is that risk management is key. What you don't see in the picture is that we actually dragged a boat with us. Seemed like a good idea, just in case. And it's the same when you're starting a business. You can set it up in such a way that you're not going to bankrupt the family, etc., etc. So risk management is key if you're going to take big risks. The second thing, and I put this slide up because I'm not a Man United fan, but my take is that if you want to be successful in business and certainly in high tech, that the absolute most critical thing is the team that you build. Now you're the coach, the general, Sir Alex Ferguson, but the team on the field, the team that build the technology, deliver the customer service, sell the technology, those are the people that are the great company. They're also your IP, they're your customer interface, they get the deals done, etc. So if you want to be successful, it's actually all about building the team. It's not about you. And you meet some entrepreneurs who think they're the smartest people in the room. That's when they don't think they're the smartest people on the planet. Most successful companies are actually built of really strong teams. Now, in order to build a team, certainly in financial technology, most of the successful companies begin with a team of two. Generally a business type guy and a really strong innovative engineering type. But really, whenever we look at companies, if you see an individual stuck out by himself or herself, dodgy proposition. If you get two people with complementary skills who are willing to stick their neck out and bet on a project, much higher probability of success. The other aspect then is how you build and retain a team. And I really emphasize both. If you can hire great people, that is not much use to you if someone hires them from you in 12 months once you've trained them up. So you need a strategy for bringing great people into your company, but also for keeping them when they're there. And there's some golden rules in terms of how you do that. Real big fan of Jobs' view on this which was that A's hire A's and B's hire C's. So in your company, there will be 2 or 3 people who have a real knack for hiring and picking talent. Let them do it, but at the same time realize that most of the people in your organization aren't actually good at hiring, so don't be backward about not letting them hire. It's very simple advice. And as you see people building a track record for hiring great, making great hires, let them hire more and more. And once people make 1 or 2 blunders, push them to the side. You don't really want them to be hiring. The other thing, and this ties into the angel investment world, is that really believe that mentors are key. And if you want to look back at history for an example of someone who probably would have started a tech startup today, Alexander the Great, is probably the best example. At the age of 19, he had conquered 70% of the known world. What's lesser known is that his mentor was Aristotle, one of the greatest minds in history. So you have to ask yourself just how far young Alexander would have got without the right mentor. And certainly, anyone who's starting a startup, my advice would be to find 2 or 3 mentors. And those mentors might change over the course of the company, but you really need great mentors. This was our team, March 2008. Next basic question everyone needs to ask, is there money in it? So I've got a picture of someone here in the Klondike. There's no point in killing yourself in a business or sector unless there's money in it. Golden rule, and it really goes to what a lot of the other speakers spoke about this morning, always be closing. You need to be closing the next deal. You need to be closing the next key hire. You need to be delivering projects and getting them over the line, etc., etc. Every time you go into the office, you should be asking your team, what did you close today? What did you finish today? Etc. Similarly, if you want to win, you have to get into position. But as Mr. Cuxton showed us a month or so ago, you also have to put the ball over the bar. Otherwise, you don't get the result. The dream is very important. As an entrepreneur, you spend your whole life impacting a vision onto other people, whether it's the people you're trying to hire, your team, the customer, competitors, the industry. So really, whenever people ask me what I used to do when I was running Wombat, I used to tell them that basically I sell dreams. The dream of what the customer can do with the product, the dream of what someone we're hiring can do if they make it in the company, the dream what the company is going to impress in the industry. So a big part of your role is imparting a vision. Compound growth, you have to understand how a balance sheet turns, how a customer base turns, how if you add an extra 20% to your customer base every year over 5 or 10 years, that goes into a mountain. One or two misses, 1 or 2 down years, and you're compounding the other way. So once you understand compound growth, then the final pillar kicks in, and probably the most important thing if you want to be successful, in my mind, in the medium term, is consistency. So in the US, Derek Jeter is known as Mr. Consistency because he goes out week in, week out, takes the base hits, takes the RBIs, gets the occasional home run, and he's based one of the greatest careers in baseball over the last 30 years on just doing the simple stuff well and being consistent. So I think we're a bit behind time, so that's it from me. 7 pillars for being a successful entrepreneur, and also added in a reading list as well if you want to follow up on some of the quotes. Thank you.